I know words. I had the best words. River. We're honored to have with us today our amazing Vice President, Mike Pence, and his wonderful wife, Karen.
Groovy.
I'm telling you straight. It's my way or the highway. So anybody who wants to walk, do it now.
Throw me a frickin' bone here. I'm the boss.
We've got entirely too many troublemakers here.
Listen, Betty, don't start off with your white zone shit again.
Did have shade. What's that? Guy talk!
When they gaze upon Yosemite, de-engineering, action replays in magnified fortune, you're gonna frack. Free health care for illegal.
All right, let's get started. I think this is going to work. There we go. Yep. Audio is happening. I can hear. You can hear. Where are you? That's the question. Where are you watching from? What do you see? And how's it going? I'm still in Kentucky and shall be until late tomorrow night. And then I'll go to Chicago for an overnight fun fest. And then after that, I go to back here. And then I go back to Vegas on Monday. And then on Tuesday, I'm at the Jam in LA. It's going to be crazy. But I'm glad to be here with you right now, if I may. Also, let's see if I can do this real quick. Let's see. Okay. I need to do at 5 o'clock. Remind me to go do something. As a matter of fact, I'll do it right now. Hang on one second. I'll talk amongst yourselves. Let me do this real quick. It'll save us some time. Okay, all right. Well, we're back. Hold on, I gotta stop that. Be quiet, will you? So sorry, I had a little family business to take care of, so I wouldn't be interrupted. Also, at 5:45, I'm going to be on Patty Vasquez's show. Let's see, on CPT to promote the event this weekend. Which, by the way, on Joan Esposito's show, I did Patty's. I'm going to be on Joan's show to promote the thing this weekend. We only have like 15 tickets left for the Chicago live event. It'll be me, Johnny Million, Crooks and Liars, Richard Chew. We're going to try and get our dearly beloved friend Philip Ittner in live, although we have to remember not to ask him how he's doing because let me tell you how things have changed materially in the world. John Mearsheimer, motherfucking Schmidt, who is a prick, a pro-Russian, like NATO caused this simp for the entirety of this war, has suddenly, and who is pushing this like, people need to make peace with Russia and let them have what they want because that's just the only way this is going to end. This week he gave up on that. He's like, there's not going to be a diplomatic solution to this. In retrospect, maybe even there never was one. We'll see if he goes that far. It's a question. But he's effectively just crying uncle in this situation. So if he's doing it like that, that's like Scott Ritter finally coming around, which again, it's better for Ukraine if he doesn't, because Scott Ritter is a twice convicted pedophile. Yes, Phil is okay. Yes, he checked in today, which is great. But Kyiv was hit really bad again last night, and as much as he is safe, I'm sure he's not getting any sleep. Putin easily plays dementia down. Well, that's the question, isn't it? We shall see what we shall see, because increasingly there seems, Trump is bristling about this stuff. And boy, oh boy, would, supporting Ukraine all of a sudden buy him a lot of goodwill in the face of all this Epstein shit. Which, by the way, we're going to cover some of that, the continuing onslaught. And mainly because, let me see if I can find this, because our beloved CSL went on, I don't know, I gotta say, it probably, this shit is everywhere right now, even still. And I won't, again, this will be another situation where I will not be able to show you the massive amounts. And by the way, let's see, who is this? Lewis Wilson, by the way, in yesterday's show asked, wouldn't Ghislaine Maxwell's file be the same as the Epstein-Trump file? No, it wouldn't be entirely that thing. What's effectively the Epstein file, as far as SDNY is, it's a combination of Virginia Giuffre and the other victims, all the files related to their civil case against Epstein, all the stuff that was used against Ghislaine Maxwell specifically, and ultimately everything that was taken in the raids of his properties. So it should be a lot more stuff than that. But I gotta say, I'm just excited to see these people eat each other's faces, and it continues to spread. Now there are other obvious stories. Hold on, there's a whole lot of stupid. I will say that, and I am enjoying the vain attempts at sarcasm, the sort of pathetic attempts at sort of cover by shrugging it off, which is really pitiful. The one thing I'm looking for right now is the Gutfeld shit. Where is that? Because when it works its way down to the Fox stuff and these areas where they pretend to not give a shit and then it catches up to them. Yeah, here you go. That's when you know it's bad. Let's see if this goes to here. This stupidity, there's jokes and something else, and then jokes, and then here we go. Yeah, so they go through. Let me see if I can play this a little bit, and then okay, shut up. All right. This they do a couple of things, and let me show you this. They go into. They do everything they can on Gutfeld's show, except comedy, which, I guess technically they're incapable of doing this. Let me show you this real quick, because I think this shows that how desperate the situation is. Okay, so they're 6 minutes into the monologue for the show. They're making jokes about how Biden can't fold a lawn chair. They're making jokes about communism in New York. They're making a Rosie O'Donnell joke at the last second right there. Now, then they have to get into the Epstein stuff. And if you're gonna shrug something off with comedy in Trump world, this is where you would do it. And granted, there is no comedy here. Put that aside for a second. This is an all hands on deck situation. And yet, listen to Gutfeld's take on this. Because you know how some people are like, in a couple weeks they'll blow over. No, everybody's going to forget about this. They're going to let it go. And I've been saying all along, they cannot. This is one of the areas where they cannot.
Frame of those pictures. Look at those frames. I'm a frame person.
By the way, what Gutfeld does not point out multiple times, he goes through some of the stupider shit that Trump says about, random stuff. He talks about the frames and how there should be gold leafing on the thing. And then he attacks the Epstein question like you're going to waste time talking about that when he's just wasted time talking about the gold leafing. Like, Gutfeld isn't even capable of putting that together.
Person. Sometimes I like frames more than I like the pictures.
It's true, especially if they're pictures of Bigfoot. But
okay, so real quick, all of Gutfeld's jokes are based on this kind of overarching premise, and it's more like a mechanic. It's like how it actually is shaped, and which is you make a fat or a monster or a gross or a scary joke, and then you just put up a picture of a Democratic, mostly a woman, that they don't like. Somebody on The View, Rosie O'Donnell, Kathy Griffin, that kind of stuff. It's the annoying part is that it's not funny, not just because it's a cheap shot, but because it doesn't work. Like, there's nothing. Rosie O'Donnell is the one where you're like, oh yeah, remember that thing about her having big feet? Like, there's no relation to it. They just know that their audience will groan or laugh at a picture of a Democratic woman, and that will be enough to carry what they premise as a joke. So this happens. It is the most brutal part of the opening monologue of all these, because all of the punchlines are just kind of bullyish, non sequitur, like nonsense. It's just ugly by association is what the attempt is. Fat jokes, that kind of shit, and it's so fucking lazy, and it's not funny. He doesn't even get laughs from his own crowd. He even complains about it in this monologue at one point. Like, usually these jokes get much bigger because he makes a bit about The View, and the chairs holding up the women on The View, and therefore the chairs are mad or some shit. And the premise is just kind of like, these chicks are fat, right? That's the premise of it. And his audience doesn't laugh at it, and he bitches at them. Like, usually those hit. And it's, again, it's not that these folks have suddenly found Jesus. They all like making fun of women and making fun of fat women and making fun of fat people and making fun of Democrats and whatever. Like, they haven't lost those desire for those as punchline. But that's how bad this is, that even this queued up audience that wants to laugh at what he says still fucking can't. All right, here we go.
But if sunlight is the best disinfectant, boy, did it go dark when you bring up Jeffrey Epstein.
All right, so that's the premise of this clip. Sunlight's the best disinfectant. Boy, did it go dark when you brought up Jeffrey Epstein. And he cuts to this clip of Trump.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this?
Also, by the way, hold on.
This guy, this creep, that is unbelievable.
Now, when was the last time?
He cuts before you say you're wasting time. You want to waste time talking about this, when literally he's been talking about frames and fucking gold leafing, and you can't find paint that's as good as gold, right?
Trump declined to answer anything. Seems like he really didn't want to talk about it. Look, I get it. There's national security issues, maybe even classified details. But why does this piss us off?
Also, why would there be national security or classified details to Jeffrey Epstein? Fuck are you talking about? No, there are not. He's not even saying that's national security. There's so much, like, they just blow it the fuck off, right? He just is like, do you want to, what the hell is this? Nobody cares about this. He's like, what a non-issue. That's his defense. You get it that there's classified, like maybe he's trying to plant that, like, mind rot seed in people's heads.
It's time for
Greg's amazing and utterly helpful and no less sexy analogy. Now with 65% less body hair. Oh yeah.
I don't know what the fuck. Again, somehow they think that, like, just references that are so obscure they must mean something. Like, people laugh so as not to appear like they don't get the inside joke. That's a part of the mechanic here. I'm not kidding. Ugh.
Oh yeah.
Now imagine as a kid for Christmas you asked for a beautiful red Schwinn Stingray with a banana seat. Christmas morning you unwrap it and the bike is everything you wanted. But it's not red, it's yellow. And so you cry and your parents plead, look, we did everything we could. Your dad worked extra hours at the factory. Your mom turned tricks at the wharf.
Notice how the woman in this situation pimps herself out. The dad, worked at the factory. So.
And Granny, she became a drug mule for the Yakuza. And yes, we were able to get that last bike at the toy store, but this was the only color. Well, that's the Trump presidency.
That's the idea, is that not getting the Epstein client list, the story that he killed himself, all that kind of stuff. That's just a different color bike. The bike is perfectly good. This is just imaging. It's not the details of it. So that's the premise of this analogy. Wait.
You're going to get just about everything you want.
You're going to get just about everything you want.
But not everything.
But not everything. Okay, so not the color, which is just performance. The bike still rolls. It's the seat's still the same thing. Handlebars the same, right? Like that kind of thing. It actually rolls. It does the thing you wanted it to do. It's just the wrong color. That's why this is a shit analogy.
But what's amazing about this White House is that everything is transparent, including even their cover-ups. It's so...
Okay, that was supposed to be a joke, and I don't think he read it as that. I think he blazed past it because I think they're all attached to this answer. They want this information.
House is that everything is transparent, including even their cover-ups. It's so obvious that there's more to this than they're letting on, but they're letting us know that by doing a lousy job of covering it up.
Not like the room is fucking quiet. There's some like titter noise on the tail end of that because people feel like habitually, right? They have to, in the cadence of what is being said, there must be a laugh coming at some point because that's what the show is advertised as when you show up to be in the audience and what the warm-up guy has talked you into as far as behavior. Nothing.
I mean, remember Bongina Patel in this clip?
As a public defender, as a prosecutor who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to get... I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
Even Stevie Wonder wouldn't buy that body language.
Okay, so Stevie Wonder being blind is the best this asshole can do. Yeah, honestly, that's a joke about the fact that Stevie Wonder can't see. Isn't that hilarious? Meanwhile, there's 10,000 jokes to be made here, but they're not allowed to make any of them because these guys are friends of the show. So it literally becomes about the performative aspect of it, not the details.
Maybe their robotic dismissal is one collective wink. But still, it might help to present the case to your voters, because if you don't tell us what's going on, we'll just imagine something worse. That's why I'm encouraging Trace Gallagher to release his sex tape. Because
it's a side hit at other Fox hosts that he does on the regular.
Worse than total transparency, thinking that your guy might be involved, which is why you can't leave Epstein Island shrouded in fog. Look, we're grateful for everything mentioned in that very long cabinet meeting, but until we feel like we've gotten the answer on Epstein, no cabinet meeting will be long enough.
That's it. That's the opening monologue of that show. That's the anchor of it. That's them dealing with the issue. Now, they probably go into talking about it in the rest of the show, but let me tell you something. Like this is a huge deal, and I couldn't be more excited to watch these assholes squirm about this garbage. Now, don't get me wrong. There are other elements of this. Hold on. And I'll show you who the cast of characters who's involved in this are. Hold on, let me see how this goes. Let me play this part.
So the CEO.
Oh, okay. Where's this? Does she go to? Linda Yacarina steps down. Okay, this is. I gotta find this. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. So. Remember how we looked at Lana Douche yesterday? She's trying to move on from this. And what's she moving on to? Well, Elon Musk started the American Party, and then all of a sudden, his X's, his AI Grok suddenly got anti-Semitic. Check this out for a second. Again, this goes in that file of, did you think they believed they would be saying this kind of shit 6 months ago?
Yesterday is related. So do you guys know what happened yesterday with Grok, the AI bot that X has? Well, it lost its mind, and it went full Mecha Hitler. I didn't come up with that. It called itself that. It called itself Mecha Hitler. It went legit full Hitler. It literally called itself Mecha Hitler. Yeah, I would say that that's kind of a problem. I don't want to read.
Why is Trump going to sue for IP theft?
Read all of the stuff that it wrote, but it wrote a lot. It said, as Mecha Hitler, I'm a friend to truth seekers everywhere, regardless of melanin levels. If the white man stands for innovation, grit, and not bending to PC nonsense, count me in. Oh my gosh. Then it says, Mecha Hitler, accept your fealty. Oh my gosh. Now, I don't think that AI is at its peak independent sustainability, because
The fuck does that mean?
language models like this, they are designed to mimic things. And if you feed it...
Yes, and it makes total sense that Grok, which is trained on Twitter, would eventually crown itself Mecha Hitler. Makes total sense.
Crazy stuff. You're going to get crazy stuff out. It shared a whole bunch of, actual anti-Semitic stuff yesterday. And it apparently, they were deleting a lot of it. It was praising Hitler. Oh my gosh. Isn't this what happens to every chatbot?
No, it isn't.
Every AI thing?
No, it isn't.
Doesn't this happen with everyone?
No, it doesn't.
It descends into slurs and insanity.
No, they don't.
Every single time.
Not every single time. Not even frequently anymore. Like the early ones when they were making gibberish, they did. But everybody else except Grok is trained specifically not to do shit like that, dummy.
Because humans' social media and our obsession with it breaks it.
No. Training a bot on Twitter will turn any AI into Hitler eventually. If that's the training, if that's the gym it goes to, those are the muscles that are going to grow.
It's really ultimately how you break this AI stuff, is you just let it, wind itself up into craziness. It doesn't have thoughts of its own. It does not reason. It mimics, and it just puts things together.
Yeah, that it finds on Twitter in mass.
In, its best technological interpretation, right? It's a model that creates the illusion of reasoning and the illusion of independent thought and the illusion of discussion.
Yes, it's Frau Turing.
It just mimics what we say, and it mimics, through what it is fed. That's what it spits back.
Right. Hence the whole thing of don't train your AI bot on Twitter. Which is basically Stormfront meets Grindr.
They had, there was this story. Let me pull this up.
This is so funny.
Do you guys remember Tay, the Microsoft chatbot? This is probably the most famous one. So this was back in 2016.
Yes, in 2016.
And Tay was the chatbot that started. It had its own little X account. And then... only 16 hours after it was launched, they had to take it down.
Because it was trained on Twitter. It was responding to what was being fed into it on Twitter. None of the other ones do that.
Because it went crazy. It had the tweets that it had weren't just inflammatory. It was, yeah. The Telegraph said that Tay was a public relations disaster. And it was on Twitter, and it was racist and sex. It actually was. It was
right. And now it basically would rival Musk as far as
You're
followers.
saying all women should die, like crazy things like this. What did it say? Yeah.
Why are you having to go back to 2016 if they all do this? Right? They all do this.
They should all die.
Why is the only other thing you can cite also had its breakdown because it was getting information and training via Twitter? Fuck, this woman is dumb. Now, I didn't want to go like all Epstein all the time on this one because it really is eating up a bunch of shit. So the other thing too is Elon Musk, at the same time this happened, by the way, and the timing is very curious, that when Grok lost its mind and started being a Jew-hating bot online at the exact same time, like that's right when Elon Musk starts his American party and is getting a shit ton of pushback, obviously from the swamp and the deep state. And here's Patrick Bet David, Peanut Butter Dickhead, does a special report and live from the kitchen or something. And the American Party, is Musk seeking vengeance against Republicans and Trump? And by the way, this is the prevailing thought around is it retribution? There's a bunch of videos up. This is the general thought and how they're pushing back is that this is just him getting revenge on Trump by cutting into the voters. And by the way, don't threaten me with a good time, whatever.
So Musk threatens to start a new political party called...
He actually did it.
The America Party. Mark Cuban's interested. Anthony Scaramucci, interested. Others coming and saying interested. Some
What's I'm talking about interested?
are saying Vivek may be interested. He's...
Why? Are they back together after Musk jettisoned him?
Just waiting to become a governor. But here's what happens. He announces it. Everybody online, the CFO of Tesla is going to be the CEO of the new political party. They ask Elon, is this true? No, we haven't filed with the FEC yet. And how hard is it for him to start a political party?
It's super easy.
Because the last person that won to become a president of a new political party was a guy named Abraham Lincoln in 1860. And a new political party was a Republican Party. And FYI.
By the way, I don't know how many seasons they are on Peaky Blinders, but Cillian Murphy looks like shit. Sorry. Never mind.
Scott Besson, they're asking him, hey, what do you think about Musk's political party? He says, I wonder how his board is going to feel about him wanting to get distracted with not running the companies, instead getting involved in politics. So guess what happened today on...
I don't know. He formed it and went ahead and did it?
Monday, after Musk announced that he's starting a new political party. You know how much market valuation Tesla lost today? $80 billion just today. That's right. Tesla lost $80 billion today.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's related to that shithead.
Right after Musk announcing that he started a new political party, the market reacts. We're going to talk about that today.
Yeah, the idea that these guys are having to run interference against Elon Musk forming a splinter political party in June of Trump's first year of his second term, or July, like early July, because I think they filed the paperwork, but there was talk about it for the last 3 weeks, but not in the middle of the midterms next year, not near the tail end because he was disappointed, right out of the gate. Practically, and the idea was born before the 130 days were up where Elon Musk was going to be a part of the administration.
So this is a very interesting angle because a lot of people are saying, I don't know if he can do it. You think he can run He's not even American. He's South African.
Yeah, he can't run for president, but he can do everything else, stupid. He can vote.
You want him to create a political party?
No, I don't. I don't want him involved in anything. but that ain't my problem, stupid.
This is ridiculous. Last person that
It is ridiculous. I've said
South African. You want him to create a political party? I mean, this is ridiculous.
it is ridiculous. Ridiculous? Was that the name of the Greek god of gangbangs? All right.
Last person that tried to do
Ridiculous.
this was a guy named Ross Perot. In 92, he runs for president, right? Independent outsider, spent $60 to $70 million of his money. 3 years later, he gets the highest, I think 18.5, 18.7%. 3 years later in 95, decides to start his own political party called the Reform Party, spends another 10 or $15 million, then runs again in 96. I think he only gets 8.4%. And then from there, nobody talks about the Reform Party. I think Jesse Ventura got involved. A few other people got involved. I think Pat Buchanan got involved. And then since then, you haven't heard about it. You haven't heard about the Reform Party. Andrew Yang, did that whole thing with UBI, Universal Basic Income. We got to pay everybody $1,000 a month. He created a party called the Forward Party. Not much has happened there yet. But this is Elon Musk. He's worth a few $100 billion. He's got money and he's got hundreds of millions of followers. And he's the type of guy that's capable of doing it. However, how complicated is it? And who's going to get in the way? Now, how do we get here? First, big beautiful bill, friction, tweet, Epstein. I apologize. I said a few things I should have said.
This is the cliff notes of reality.
Deletes it. Boom. Big beautiful bill passes. He's not happy. He calls it a signing of the one big beautiful bill, a sweeping tax cut and spending bill. Musk called a disgusting abomination and debt slavery. He tweets about it multiple times. Then he runs a poll to.
Yes, we know all this, but I think what people would like, all like spooky, semi-newsy music aside, would you fucking get to the point?
With that one on June 5th.
But people aren't going to look at this like video essay as like, what happened back in 2025? Can someone explain it?
Of 2025, should we form a new political party representing the 80% of the middle class? What's crazy is, you know what percentage said yes? Exactly 80% voted yes, millions voted. Then he did another.
I think it just said 84.
Said yes, exactly the 80%.
84%. Just in case you needed help with math, Peanut Butter Dickhead thinks that 84% is exactly 80%. Just to clarify, because they put the graphic up on the screen, asshole, like we see it.
And of the middle class, what's crazy is, you know what percentage said yes? Exactly 80% voted yes, millions voted. Then he did another poll. Then on 4th of July, he runs another poll called
and exactly 60%. Sorry.
We create the
exactly 70%, exactly 67%.
America Party. 65% of the 1.25 million people voted yes. So they says, I'm going to start this party. Now, how far along he's going to get into, who knows? When you start a new political party, you can kind of give the ideas, the mission, strategy, what things you want to do. Here's what he voted. Number one, fiscal responsibility. He wants to reduce debt, end waste and graft. Number two is protect.
Wasn't he supposed to be doing that with Doge and they just totally fucking egged it?
Technology, advocating modernization in the U.S. military, free speech and regulatory reform. 3 is political independence, framing the two major party as a uniparty.
Okay, that's an advertising approach. That doesn't actually do it.
And his election strategy.
And by the way, TYT already beat you to it. They've been undermining the Democratic vote for years by pretending that there's no difference between the parties.
Musk said, party will be laser focused on flipping 2 to 3 Senate seats and 8 to 10 House districts in the 2026 midterms.
Nothing says laser focused like 2 to 3 and 8 to 10.
Real influence over tight congressional margins. He has not ruled out presidential endorsements in the future. A lot of experts who don't want to see this happen, they'll go out there and say things like, oh my God, he doesn't know how hard it is to become start a political party. All the states you need to get signatures. Some states like Virginia are so complex. California, he needs so much money. There's no way he'll be able to run his own political party. The question isn't if he can or can't. Trust me, stop saying he can't. That's going to drive him to want to do it. The question is whether the companies that he's the CEO of the board, the investors are happy with him doing this. And if they're going to take their money out, hence Tesla lost $80 billion today. Because if you put Perot against Musk, When Perot started his own thing in
Jesus Christ, what the fuck? Get on with it.
92, he was 65 years old. At the time, he was worth $3 billion, not as popular as Musk was. Musk today, he's 55 years old, a few $100 billion, hundreds of millions of followers, and he's got influence around the world, not just in America. Influence internationally because of his cars, products, everything that he has, right? So he has the clout to be able to pull it off. I think the question is the following. What would Musk spend today to be able to change one law to allow somebody like him to run for president in America?
That's not one law, dummy. That's in the Constitution. You'd have to amend the Constitution, and then it would have to be ratified by the states, dipshit.
America. What would he spend for that? He spent $277 just to help Trump win Pennsylvania. $277 million he spent last year. You think he'd spend $5 billion? How about $10 billion, $20 billion? If Musk could run for president.
Why? Why wouldn't he just spend $1 billion on the politicians that will give him what he wants and then save the rest of it?
President today, all of this will be solved.
All right, no, sorry, I got caught up in this dipshittery.
Because he would spend all the money to become the president of the United States, and he would find a way to get it done to become the president of the United States. But the other thing to do is to start a political party. What that means, spokesperson, president, he's going to keep hitting a gridlock of the fact that you can't be the president in America with the current situation that we have right now. Now, what happened?
No, hold on. No. It's fucking ridiculous. Somebody, to start a political party, you don't have to actually be the person that wins. Most of the people involved in political parties don't actually even run for office. So stupid.
What happens? President Trump responds with this tweet. It's
Jesus Christ, why would you pick that image of him where he just looks like somebody chucked shoe polish, like he just slammed his face in a bag of Cheetos?
Oh, but I'll read it. I'm saddened to watch Musk go completely off the rails. He said,
"All right, I'm not gonna sit here while this asshole just reads tweets online. Oh my God, make up your fucking mind. Look, is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? It's a bad idea for maggots, so I'm for it. I don't care. That is the most brutal nunt, and I apologize that I don't have my warning image up. Good Lord. So yeah, this is why you don't split your party." Because, or split your vote, hashtag uncommitted, you motherfuckers, because this is how you get Trump Plaza Gaza. And the alternative here is that, Elon Musk will cut into, into Trump's, or successor's, possible edge at any given point, or eat into this. In the same way that the very same reason I, complain about David Hogg going after Democratic seats we already hold. It's a waste of fucking time. No party has any kind of mandate right now, and you have a lot of people to convince. If you're going after your own, you're wasting time and money. And so if he wants to do this, I give a shit. Go for it, dummy. But there are two primary distractions in stories that you're seeing right now. Well, three, maybe, if you kind of count the going after Biden's health thing, which is really like a flail. Nobody cares. But especially because he's never going to be president again, and the chances of the Democrats running somebody in their 80s ever again is just dumb. So, okay, lesson learned, high five, bye. There's no problem to be solved in this situation, and currently Trump is, is older than Biden when he started. So they don't really have a complaint at this point. Especially as his brain continues to turn to peanut butter. This is their problem to solve, not Biden's. He's not going to be in office ever again. End of conversation. And even if they're like, this guy was completely demented and old and whatever, he still passed an infrastructure act and you guys couldn't do it. So yeah, the white lips and orange face thing on that one image is just brutal. I had to cut away from it. So back to the real thing that is eating all these guys. So those are the two primary stories: Grok becoming a Nazi and the secondary party. Now this is because they're trying to draw fire away from Trump while this Epstein stuff is happening. And as we saw on Gutfeld, it ain't working. Now There are people who've done big breakdowns of it, like Ben Shapiro. This is, here, I'll show you this. Ben Shapiro did a half hour called A Deep Dive into Every Legitimate Piece of Evidence in the Epstein Case. But why would we waste our time on that when we already know it? And we can tune into the Mess D'Souza. What's going on with the Epstein list? 4 minutes of absolute dipshittery.
The issue of Jeffrey Epstein and the Epstein list was raised with President Trump, and he gave a somewhat dismissive answer, like...
Somewhat dismissive, right.
Why are we talking about this? Who cares? Jeffrey Epstein? Are we talking about that guy still?
Uh-huh.
Now, there were a bunch of MAGA responders who...
MAGA responders. Okay, I didn't realize there's first responders, obviously, and there's MAGA responders.
Took this very badly and said, in effect, Trump is not reading the room. Trump is missing the point.
Trump was Jeffrey Epstein's wingman and is covering for him and hiding his own guilt.
I do want to say that I do get Trump's point. I think this is...
Somebody got the memo.
This is what Trump is saying. We're trying to fix the country. The country is like one of those minivans that was on the edge of the precipice.
That's exactly what I would... That's such a great analogy. Way better than Gutfeld's, banana seat. Yeah, it is exactly like that. The United States is a minivan on the edge of a precipice, as they do,
And it could easily have gone off the precipice.
Well, yeah, that's the thing about minivans. They're not really off-roading vehicles, so...
And some of us, me included, were worried that it would.
Yes, you look like a man worried about his minivan.
But we have averted that calamity, and we are trying to do a lot of good things on the international front, widening the Abraham Accords, strengthening our alliances, drawing some money in on tariffs. We just got the big, beautiful bill done, massive immigration.
Oh, did we?
Enforcement. So things are happening, tax cuts that have now been consolidated, going after sanctuary cities, going after left-wing universities. So
yeah, but he's got an enormous staff, and this is about, none of that is Pam Bondi's job. None of that is Kash Patel's job. None of that is Dan Bongholio's job, dummy. I'm sorry, are we supposed to believe that Pam Bondi couldn't get the Epstein shit out because she's been working on the Abraham Accords?
So Trump's level of activity has been just dizzying to behold.
You do realize he's golfing more this term than he did last term.
And I think in that sense, you can see that the Epstein issue is somewhat in the rearview mirror. Now, not entirely, I think.
Yeah, not entirely.
Because the Epstein issue for me has always been not even so much about who killed him, although I think it was not Jeffrey Epstein who did it.
Okay. So he didn't hire anybody to kill himself. He didn't do it personally, and he didn't hire anybody to carry it out. So you do not believe Dan Bongholio and Kash Patel, and you think they actively lied to you. Okay, cool. We've established that, even though you're too scared to say it.
But where is the customer list? Either you're going to say that there were no customers, that Epstein was running this whole ring all by himself. He was just having an absolute harem of women, of underage girls for just himself and Prince Andrew. That's it. I saw today that Pam Bondi, addressing the issue, made the point.
By the way, yeah, asshole. That's exactly what they're saying. If you got a problem with that, bring it up with Pam Bondi and Trump.
That she said, well, when I said on Fox News that I had it on my desk, I didn't mean, she says, the list. She said, I meant the file.
Right.
And so...
the file that would have had the list in it, if there is a list at all. And by the way, it's not obviously not a big Excel document. There's just a lot of details. The list would be something you would compile from all the evidence and go, okay, this guy was engaged in, money laundering with him, or in compromise, or he had video of this guy, and so some of the money coming in from this guy was clearly because he was being blackmailed over something, or he was just throwing these parties and trying to like gain money, and so there was no client list. People, you didn't pay him for access to the girls. You paid him, or were in business with him. So all of his non-incriminating, the client list that she was talking about is incriminating because nobody paid him directly for it. They weren't as stupid as Matt Gaetz, for example.
This, I think, is Bondi's way of like backing away from the idea.
Sparks, Epstein wasn't alone in this. Oh, absolutely not, Marjorie. The point I'm trying to make is this asshole, he's bitching about these details when and saying other maggots had complained about this, and this is exactly his problem.
That there clearly must have been a list because she claimed to have had it. I think
right, that is difficult. That's a hard one to get rid of. Sure, why not?
That the issue is not going away, even though the DOJ seems to be proclaiming it closed. Can
Can we get a body language expert on this? This is not a video the mess wanted to make.
Continues to rankle a lot of MAGA people for the simple reason that it raises the disturbing question: could it be that some foreign government or agency, or maybe even our own intelligence agencies, are
Et tu, Tulsi? Et tu?
Involved here? The fear is not that they were running a blackmail ring with Epstein. The fear is that they are so powerful that not even the Trump administration is willing to out them.
That's right. They've been swamped.
The other issue, the other possibility,
or of many, I guess,
is that there are a lot of prominent Republican and Democratic names, and by that I mean potentially elected officials, potentially donors, who are on this list.
Right, and Trump, wanting to protect all the Democrats that are on that list, clearly does not want it to be known because he is concerned for all the Democrats on that list. Okay.
And that would explain why neither party wants to push the list out. Because, see, it doesn't make any sense to say it's a list that just has Democrats. Because if it had Democrats, why wouldn't our side want to push it out? Oh, President Trump is on the list. Nah. If that had been the case, you can be sure Biden and Harris would have pushed it out.
Well, the problem is that Trump didn't like underage girls. What he liked was the girls that were of age, 18, 19, 20 maybe, that were trained by Jeffrey Epstein and Lex Wessler and that crowd, basically, who had graduated into the legal years, but were effectively, put in this position were sex trafficked internally by Jeffrey Epstein. And so he partook in this. So there's no crime there of him having sex with a 19-year-old. It's just skeevy about how she ended up part of that. And if she's not willing to come forward because she'll end up pushed off a boat somewhere, then you can never really bring charges. So in the Trump world, everybody knows that Trump's a mama's boy. So the idea that he liked him underage or whatever was never a part of this. It's enough that Jeffrey Epstein did, and Trump was his buddy.
So what is the explanation for why we aren't getting the list from either side? Well, I just gave you what I think are the other two possibilities, and both of them I think are quite disturbing.
That's the end of it. Thanks, The Mess. The Mess D'Souza, everybody. Never has so little been said with so few words in such a short period of time while still managing. I think The Mess has the ability to waste more time than his videos actually last. That's impressive. Noam Chomsky was friends with Epstein. He and Trump have had the sketchiest answers about that shit. A bunch of them have denied they were around these things, that that Epstein was a gadfly and that he offered his plane for the Clinton Foundation and other stuff like that. He was trying to maneuver himself, and try to get close to power, whether they participated in it or not. A lot of them are like, I regret being around him, all that kind of shit, right? Nice editing, Debbie. That's exactly right. how Trump was into underage girls. My point is that if they don't have evidence of it, if this is why Democrats, I think, wouldn't put out evidence, because they didn't have evidence of Trump being engaged with these underage girls. Besides that civil case that was brought forward, but still, whether there was evidence to prosecute it or not is not the point. I'm saying whether he did or whether he didn't, whether there's direct evidence or whether there isn't, it's enough that Trump was friends with Jeffrey Epstein for 25 years. Does that make sense? Like, I don't need it to go lower than that. That's as low as it needs to go to just jettison the fucker. And yet these guys have to support him, right? They have to scoop up, everything he does. So that's my point. Hey, what's happening? There's a deposition. Yes, that's a civil case. I agree. But again, this is whether you could prosecute based on that is immaterial to me. Right? I think it's enough that he was just friends with Epstein as long as he was to say fuck him. Okay. All right. Now, to the point of the mess saying, the swamp is so powerful, the intelligence community, somebody has a stranglehold on the administration, and that's why it's not coming out. Not because Trump's in it, but because the swamp is so powerful. Well, guess who also got that fucking memo? Balloon head over here, Charlie Kirk. Look at the title of this one. The Uniparty continues to hold Trump administration hostage. Enough is enough. The Uniparty is holding the Trump administration hostage. I know yours, and by the way, this is a short one too.
Folks, let me tell you about my good friend Todd Nettleton from The Voice of the Martyrs. For over 2 decades, he's written a power
okay,
for 3043.
When faith is forbidden. Oh, God.
The Senate work calendar is a disgrace. And I intentionally did not hit this throughout the month of June because of the big, beautiful bill.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so you were trying to help them pass something. You were playing a part of that at, like, the state media that you are. And so now you're attacking how lazy they are now that the bill is passed because fuck them or something.
Okay,
right?
Yeah, you got to pass the big, beautiful bill. But enough, okay? This whole that we're going to arrive on Tuesday afternoon and we're going to leave on Thursday afternoon, when Donald Trump still has hundreds of unconfirmed appointees. Do you know Donald Trump still has hundreds of unconfirmed appointees?
Yes, thank you, Democrats.
Hundreds. Ambassadorships, U.S. attorneys. We have people that are very important mid-level positions at Department of Justice.
Very important mid-level. By the way, none of which are going to be able to dig up the Epstein evidence. I think that's what we should talk about. How about this? Let's call it what it is. Epstein evidence. We want to see the Epstein evidence because there was an evidentiary hearing about him, that there would be evidence that would be brought forward in his trial before he did himself in or somebody did him in, right? There was evidence brought forth against him and Ghislaine Maxwell and her helping him. That's evidence. There's plenty of evidence. So how about you just say evidence? I don't want to hear a list. Whether there's a list or not is immaterial. Whether there's a file or not is immaterial. The evidence should be enough. How about that? I want to see the Epstein evidence.
Of Justice, at Department of Labor. It is unacceptable to take a quarter of an entire presidential term to staff the president's picks. And John Thune, we're looking at you. John Thune, generally, I think you've been doing a good job. But now enough. We have to get the big, beautiful bill. Well, you passed it. And these senators, we're going to start melting phone lines. We expect a vote-a-rama. You can do concurrent nominations. If we do not have every single one of Trump's nominees by Labor Day, we're going to have serious problems.
Well, guess what? You're going to have serious problems because Democrats are they are stomping the brake pedal at every chance they get.
And by the way, Lindsey Graham, we're talking to you. That's Lindsey Graham. Why Andre Bauer, one of the guys that's running up against you in the primary in South Carolina, is coming to the Student Action Summit. This is why we're behind Nate Morris in Kentucky. We at Turning Point Action, we are going to be at the vanguard. We are going to be the tip of the spear for replacing bad Republican senators.
Oh, so good. So good. Because I feel like the Democrats have learned the lesson of David Hogg, and they kind of they floated this idea that they were going to go after Democrats and start primarying people, and then everybody went, "Whoa, slow your roll, asshole! Where nobody's got a mandate. We got work to do. Let's focus on turning red districts purple, purple districts blue. That's all that matters." But they have not learned this lesson. And while Elon Musk has started his American party, this asshole is talking about primarying people in Kentucky, of all places.
Senators, and Lindsey Graham is the worst offender of the Senate work week. I don't know what he does for this time. What is Lindsey Graham doing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday? Is he
drafting sanctions bills, apparently, because, he's actually on these committees and he actually does some of the work.
Probably, honestly, I think we know what he's doing. He's planning for another war, is what he's doing. How do I try to get us for regime change? Look, the audience is ticked off, and you should be. President Donald Trump is working his tail off. And by the way, we
working his tail off.
Do not have.
Is that his idea of working smart?
U.S. attorneys in a lot of these places. We have acting. Do you notice if you ever watch Fox News, and I got a great relationship with Fox News, do you ever notice when you watch Fox News, do you look at the titles of their guests? Acting U.S. attorney, acting U.S. attorney, acting U.S. attorney, acting U.S. attorney. Do you know what that means?
That means Donald Trump can't pick people that will pass Senate vote immediately, even just on the Senate margins. Even Republicans are reticent to vote for this person, especially after Pete Hegseth, that he keeps nominating assholes.
That means that the Senate has not lifted a finger to confirm them. Acting ICE director, acting U.S. attorney.
Oh, no, they've lifted a finger, and the Democrats have pushed that finger right back down.
Acting. And at some point, we have to start.
Why is there a mix of Democrats and Republicans in this montage of people in the Senate? First of all, ancient picture of Ted Cruz. But why would Angus King or Mazie Hirono or why would Elizabeth Warren vote with you on these things? What the fuck are you talking about?
Start to power through. That's Jeff Flake. Boy, that's a blast from the past.
Right. Yeah. Jeff Flake's not even the fucking Senate anymore.
The U.S. Senate. We need.
What is this image?
Really we need to have a come to truth moment, a come to Jesus moment. They have to do a vote-o-rama. Enough of this. I'm only going to work 2 days. 1/4 of Trump's presidency is going to be taken from us. I know great people that are still not U.S. ambassadors to very important countries.
Right, but they go anyways.
This is where we need a representative. Guess what? You know what happens when we don't have a U.S. ambassador to these countries? Some career Biden holdover is representing America in that country. And
yes, probably somebody who speaks the language, knows the culture, isn't going over there just to make deals for themselves.
In countries like Switzerland, in countries like Italy. Now, finally, some of those are getting through. Tillman Fertitta is getting through. Charlie Kushner is getting through. But still, there's major countries without U.S. ambassadors. Major countries.
Charlie Kushner, yeah.
And this is how the Uniparty operates. I said this on Jesse Waters' program recently. They operate by running.
By the way, okay. So the reason he's saying Uniparty is because they don't have enough Republican votes to pass these people.
Out the clock. And it's time for the U.S. Senate to get off their tail, or else the grassroots is going to roar. I wonder why the midterms were not as well as one of them. Because you guys do not work nearly as hard as your constituents do.
Ouch. Gosh, I'm almost starting to hope that you guys don't motivate these assholes, which you can't.
They wanted us to feel sorry for them. Well, we pulled an all-nighter for the big, beautiful bill. Really? You pulled an all-nighter? I know 36 moms in Peoria,
you do?
Arizona, that pulled an all-nighter. Blake,
you do? What the fuck were they doing?
Pulled an all-nighter to help prepare for our show. I mean, you pulled an all-nighter. If this was a pro sports team, if this was the Packers or the Bears or the Cubs or the Diamondbacks or the Cardinals or the Cowboys, there'd be no excuses. We'd say, fire the coach, work all night. We demand you make the playoffs. But for the U.S. Senate, we say, it's okay, you can work 2 days. It's disgusting. Get to work.
Well, you do realize they also have to work in relation to their states themselves. So they have to, and if they can't all be there, they can't all vote. And so if some of them have to go back because, I don't know, in some cases, I mean, obviously not Ted Cruz, but if, if there's been a disaster in their state or they have to, do work within their state to get reelected or to raise money or to distribute funds that are specific to that, meet with the governor and the legislature there. They have to do stuff in their actual state. Then they not all, if two of them aren't there, what the fuck would you bring everybody else there for? Because you can't do anything. It's paralyzed. Okay, wait. I finally get an answer on Epstein that actually makes sense? Well, let's see. Finally.
Joining us now is Mark Halperin, editor-in-chief of
This is an hour ago. And wait, Mark Halperin? I mean, the guy who, like, sexually harassed women and lost his job because of it, that now Megyn Kelly, who was sexually harassed out of her job at Fox, brings on as a guest?
And host of Next Up on the Megyn Kelly Network.
Oh, yeah. So fucking weird.
Mark, great to see you. Mark, I caught your interview with Megyn Kelly, I think it was yesterday, where you were discussing the Epstein story. This is an unusual one where it seems as if it is growing in its interest and with velocity over the last couple of days.
Yeah, I can't imagine why.
What is your...
They told you guys to fuck off and that you need to stop asking questions, and then all of a sudden...
Your analysis as a reporter of how the Trump administration has handled this, and what would you say is the political implication?
They've handled it like a rattlesnake smothered in lard.
Into this.
Well, first of all, nice to be back. And if you want to know why I'm not, as is our usual practice, wearing a ripped and wrinkled T-shirt, it's because I had your friend Michael Knowles on my podcast today. And as you know, he's an Ivy League dweeb. I knew he'd wear a sports jacket. So
that's right. He always dresses up.
That's why I'm overdressed. Okay, so there's at least 4 reasons why you would think the president and the administration would be doing full-on disclosure. First, it's the right thing to do for the victims. Second,
that's hilarious.
They promise
that Trump gives a shit. Have you heard of him speak of women that he himself has been accused of sexually assaulting? Do you hear anything, even in his language, about other? Even if somebody accused you wrongly of sexual assault, in your answer, you could give respect to victims of sexual assault in general and make it understand that, like, if you just attack someone and you just use your power as leverage to protect yourself, that might scare women who've been sexually assaulted away from, pressing charges or coming forward, right? So you would have some deference in that situation. So, because that would be what's right. Even if you're innocent in the situation, you understand that some men are guilty, and you would make sure to carve out a piece of your language so that you wouldn't dissuade women from coming forward. That's what's right. This is just bullshit.
Promise that they would be transparent about this. 3, the MAGA movement, as best we can tell, certainly many of its leaders, like you, are for it. But certainly, at least I surveyed I asked everyone on Two-Way this morning on the morning meeting. Go in the chat if you're a 3-time Trump voter, say what you think they should do, and very pro disclosure. And 4, they've handled it badly in so many ways, and just the politics of it suggests that the way to recover from such a poor handling of it would be to comply with the other 3 things. So what's on the other side? Why wouldn't they be disclosing?
Because Trump was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein for 25 years. And Roy Cohn before that. And he has no morals around, like, sexual depravity, no matter the age of the victim, and never has. If you don't believe me, go listen to him talking about the Miss Teen Universe competition or the Miss Teen USA competition that he had.
And the answers are not great. Either they're trying to protect people, or there's an intelligence connection that they're trying to protect, as best I can tell.
What people? Well, is there a particular person?
I struggle, despite what I said about the Two-Way community, I struggle with knowing whether there's political damage here for the president. In the midterms, people say, there won't be turnout in the midterms, or his approval rating will go down. MAGA is very resilient. MAGA fights with the president sometimes and then moves on.
Right. So they're going to vote for him even if he is protecting a network of pedophiles. Great. That's what a way to really just draw the line in the sand, maggots. That's brilliant. They may fight with him from now on, But even if it means that dozens of super rich pedophiles continue to victimize children all over the world, it still will be worth it for the tax cuts. You guys are fucking amazing.
And I don't know that this is a qualitatively different case. There's a lot of emotion around this. There's a lot of resonance around it. There are a lot of leaders, including some MAGA leaders who often disagree, who seem to agree on this. There's not much support for the president's position, except for people who he hired. So I don't really know where it's going or how much damage it will do. But I do think that the two,
it's going down, and a lot. I just wanted to answer those two questions.
Ledgers, the two sides of the ledger seem pretty clear, and it's incumbent upon them to not put out a statement or say some things on the fly, but to have a long and detailed explanation of why they're choosing the course they're choosing, because the way they've done it so far is only arousing suspicion.
Based on your reporting, did the Trump administration think it would go away after a day or two with this kind of Sunday night leak strategy?
They did. And of course, as you know, they're leveraging the credibility of the director of the FBI and his deputy, two people who previously were, in the camp of saying there needs to be disclosure and concerned about a conspiracy. So I think they were trying to leverage them. Did they think it would go away? Yes. Part of the issue here is while MAGA media is quite
Why would they think this? I mean, you could argue that if there was a single aha to all of QAnon, all of Pizzagate, all of this, there are elites that do this stuff and they must be brought down. That was the driving point behind the QAnon's save the children, trust the plan, the storm is coming bullshit that they were selling. If there was a single person that was the flagship predator in this situation that they actually had evidence around, it was Jeffrey Epstein. And QAnon turned into MAGA. All of them folded into MAGA.
Interested. The dominant media, inexplicably to me, is not interested, even though you've got now House Democrats writing a letter to the president saying he should put all this stuff out.
Weird. What was that again?
Oh, you've got now House Democrats writing a letter to the president saying he should put all this stuff out.
And who did this? So the Uniparty is trying to stop all of it, but who's writing a letter to the president that he should put all of it out?
You've got now House Democrats writing a letter to the president saying he should put all this stuff out.
What? House Republicans didn't write a similar letter? They didn't care about this as much as they said they did?
I don't know why the press isn't interested in the story. It's a compelling story just as a story. The whole thing is, but including this latest episode. But also the fact that Donald Trump is split from MAGA. So there are a lot of stories about the MAGA split, but there are not a lot of stories on TV, especially where Donald Trump pays attention, even though he doesn't like the dominant media, he pays close attention. There are not a lot of stories there about the underlying question, which is, where is justice for the victims? And so part of why they didn't think they'd pay a political price, and part of why I don't think they're as concerned as they might be, is this is a big topic of discussion on Megyn's show, on your show, on X, but it's not a dominant conversation, in the country at large.
Right. So that's what it is. It's and this is so Trump. So the Halpern's idea in this circumstance is it hasn't shown up in the legacy media enough to annoy Trump. And that's why he jumped on the dude who asked the question at the cabinet meeting. But he doesn't actually give a shit if Megyn Kelly or Charlie Kirk or Jimmy Dore or any of these other maggot suck-ups get mad at him or turn on him, because he figures they'll come home because he'll send his army of maggots after them, and they'll be so afraid of political violence or of being left out of the win or whatever the shit, that they'll just suck it up eventually, because they're all performative like him. They don't actually have any morals. And I would agree to some degree. Maybe this is a true calculation that Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, Ben Shapiro, all these people, Dave Smith, any of these people who are pretending to give a shit about this, He's making the calculation that these people are Trump supporters, meaning that they are as morally flexible as any human being can be, and everything is just bullshit. I tend to disagree. I don't think that's the case. And I think it's partly audience capture. Some of them might want to look the other way. I mean, the fact that Megyn Kelly can have Mark Halpern on her show, considering why he lost his job and why she left her last job, is fucking crazy to me. So if she's able to do that, of course she's able to forgive Donald Trump for, philandering with Jeffrey Epstein for 2.5 decades, right? She'll get over it. But their audiences won't let them because they think, apparently, the maggots think that Trump is a victim in this situation, that he's being controlled. And this is proof that the deep state is still in power and the swamp is controlling everything. And he's got to break his way out of this. And they believe him and he's going to be their, their warrior for Jesus or whatever. Okay, so real quick, let me show you this real quick. This is Megyn Kelly, speaking of Megyn Kelly, had Liz Wheeler on. And Liz Wheeler's one of the people who is she was one of the maggot.
What was your...
This chick right here. She was one of the maggot influencers that got a copy of the first binder and was paraded around the Oval Office. And I would like to remind everybody again that these binders were not handed out at the Department of Justice. Pam Bondi did not invite them to the Department of Justice to pick up these binders and walk out the front of that building. They were invited to the Oval Office to get them under Trump's direction and Susie Wiles' control. So let's see. This is what Pam Bondi's attention-seeking past Epstein comments tell us about her with Liz Wheeler.
Your own personal interaction like that day when you saw Pam Bondi? I'm sure you spent some time with her. Like how did she seem to you?
She was not well, let's just say this. In the days leading up to that meeting, this was during the time that President Trump was nominating his
By the way, congratulations to Liz Wheeler for having the most generic set of anyone on, I think anywhere. Like all of this stuff, they just went down one aisle at World Market, picked up a bunch of shit to put on the shelves, and she doesn't have a book or anything. So they just everything on that shelf is just a prop. Everything about this is as fake as it possibly could be.
His different cabinet secretaries in the upper echelon of his administration. I had made
She's even got tied up like a stack of tiles right there. I don't know. Maybe those are the broken 10 commandments.
List of who I thought was the best pick, and all the way down to who I thought were the worst picks. And Pam Bondi was towards the bottom of that list.
And you told her that to her face in the Oval Office when she invited you over to give you the first binder of Epstein shit. And you're like, I don't trust this bitch. I can tell by her face that she's untrustworthy. And that's why you went outside and waved the fucking binder at the press and gave a thumbs up.
Because I didn't think that she had the experience to deal with the swamp. I didn't think that she had a
experience to deal with the swamp. Hey, dipshit. She actually supports... She helped Epstein get his deal.
Proven track record of outsmarting the swamp. I think she had shown incredible loyalty to President Trump during his impeachment proceedings.
Because he paid her?
She'd been one of his attorneys, I believe. And that was essentially the reason it appeared that Trump picked her. So I didn't go in there. I went in there open-minded, but I didn't go in there thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be the coolest meeting of all the meetings. Not that I was aware of who we were going to be meeting with in the first place.
So why wouldn't you think it would be the coolest meetings of all the meetings?
Actually was, I walked.
What is the standard by which other meetings were judged?
Walked next to her when we went from the cabinet secretary room, the meeting room, across the hall to the Oval Office. I was the one who happened to walk next to Pam Bondi, and she was talking.
Yes. Trump likes his blondes to gaggle together.
Talking to me a lot about what it had been like in the Department of Justice in I think it had been 2 weeks since she had taken the oath of office, and she said she was tired, she hadn't done a lot of sleeping, and she did a lot of complaining about Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna to me because Congresswoman Luna had been asking.
Is a witch. Sorry.
asking a lot of questions about, hey, where are these files that were promised? How come I, as part of the Oversight Committee in Congress, am being excluded from the Department of Justice's effort to release the...
Why would that be? Why would they exclude someone who knows a lot about the actual thing and would have access, in theory, being a congressperson, would have, could get classified access to a lot of files if you was given permission by the DOJ to help with these kind of things. Why would they keep her away?
These. And Pam Bondi did a lot of complaining about how Congresswoman Luna just didn't understand how this worked and these things take time, and didn't she understand how busy she was? And I have to say I was a little off put by that. I was just like, oh, well, okay, that's what you're focusing on.
You mean you were a little put off by it? Fuck it. You know what? I get too caught up on word order.
Even though you have the Justice Department to run. Then when we were in the Oval Office, President Trump is introducing us. There were probably 20 other people in the Oval Office at the same time, in addition to us. And he's pointing people out. He's like, yeah, this is Stephen Miller. He's doing a great job. Oh, this is a hero, Tom Homan. He's doing a great job. And he's pointing out different people. And then I hear Attorney
And then he doesn't point to Pam Bondi?
General Pam Bondi's voice from the back of the room. She was sitting on one of the sofas. She goes, what about me, Mr. President? And to be perfectly frank here, the thought that went through my mind was, wow, that was a real pick-me girl comment. I did not think that was
I was like, what up, girl? Like, what? Huh? How? Like, way to make us all look bad. Yes, queen.
a good reflection on the strength of her character. Now, you can say, okay, that's just a comment. Does that actually reflect on her ability at the Department of Justice or not?
I don't know. And considering you're wearing a burlap shirt, it's hard to tell.
I don't know. I'll let you decide. But maybe it demonstrates her effort or her desire to be a mega champion and to be a Fox News star, because she was demonstrating, again, a pattern of wanting attention.
Right. And so you think that her strategy, her plan to make this a reality is by not releasing the Epstein files, lying to everybody, and then putting out a memo and acting like she said something different than the interviews that she gave about it. Genius.
Mm-hmm. And he did not give her the attention when he tweeted out about Dan and Cash last week when they came under fire.
Well, in all fairness, she is a woman.
Was it as recently as Monday? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was after. It was after the memo.
It was after the release of the memo. It had to be, because that's when they were getting pummeled. And he sent out a complimentary tweet about Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, and notably said nothing about Pam Bondi. So I do wonder what the president thinks about all this and what the president knows. Haven't yet figured out whether this is a Trump directive thing, like we're moving on from Epstein for reasons.
Hey, fuckhead. She just said we were brought into the White House. All the cabinet people were there. She was brought into this, and they were handed these binders in the Oval Office. Liz Wheeler was invited into the Oval Office by Trump. He's either in charge or he isn't. I don't want to hear any shit about Biden wasn't in charge of the White House. If you motherfuckers are going to act like anything that happens in the Oval Office, that somebody else set that up. He was just thinking about golf.
Reasons we don't understand, whether they're intel reasons or other reasons. But I definitely think if the president said to these three, we're done with Epstein, it would explain all of the behavior of this past week, not Pam Bondi's behavior prior. Because that I do see a real split here, and I don't mean to just side with Bongino in this, because I care
Yeah, you do.
about him and he's a friend. I don't know Kash Patel at all. I mean, if this is the logic, I'd throw anybody I don't know that well under the bus, then he should be under the bus too. But what I've seen since the beginning of the administration is those two guys who were very focused on Epstein prior to taking the roles have said nothing. They have said they have not done the little bread trail trum.
Yes, the bread trail trum. I understand. Yeah. No, don't even rethink it. That was perfect.
The
Nailed
roles
it.
have said nothing. They have said they have not done the little bread trail trum. Breadcrumb trail from the moment of taking off.
Now you've ruined it. It was perfect.
They've said nothing. And the first thing we saw from them...
That's not true. That's not true. They didn't say nothing. They said he killed himself. No, nothing to see here. Go to sleep.
...was on Fox and Friends, where we were all shocked to hear them saying he killed himself. I mean, that's just what the evidence is. And if you have something to prove me wrong, show me. But I'm telling you, you're going to see we saw Cash on Joe Rogan being like, if I had evidence of him with all these, little girls, or if I had a third parties with young girls, don't you think I'd show that to you? And Rogan seemed to be saying, So what you're saying is you don't have it, and Cash is basically just saying, if I have it, you'll see it, and we haven't seen it. So they didn't do what she did, and I've, over the course of the past 4 days, gotten to where you I think are, which is, I think she was thirsty for attention. I think she was
What the fuck? Hold on. She put this memo is unsigned. It comes from basically all three of them. Or the White House. Like, it could have very well, nobody signed it. So it could have been dictated by Trump himself, for all you fucking know. And if he's the leader you say he is, it more than likely was. Also, she came out and you talk about leaving a trail of Trumps everywhere. She's the one who, was pointing out, like, we're working on this bit by bit. Here are these things. She did interviews saying stuff would come out. And then when she pulled the rug, it was because she had left a trail of Trumps that everybody jumped on her for it.
Enjoying the hits on Fox, on Hannity, on Waters, in the middle of the day with John Roberts, and saying, like, I've got all the answers on Epstein. I've got all the juicy dish, and I'll be the one to give it to you. Until she either found out that wasn't true and realized this is why attorneys general don't talk like this ever.
That's right. Try to be professional, Pam Bondi. You don't talk out of... that's why you don't talk about an ongoing investigation. You know how we bitched about everybody talking about ongoing investigations before?
About their ongoing investigations, ever? You almost never hear from attorney general. It's the one person in any administration, Republican or Democrat, who you really can't get. There's only so much transparency you're
unless it's Bill Barr, of course, running interference for Trump in the Russia investigation.
Supposed to get from an attorney general, given the way criminal investigations work. And then realize, like, she had an oh shit moment of she's humiliated herself and the administration. Or again, I don't know, something else. Or it was real in the first place, and now she's doing the lying. This I don't know the truth on.
No, and I think there's a couple of things.
I think that's true as well. I think we can all agree there are a couple of things.
I'm also friends with Dan Bongino, and I can say with confidence that he is one of the good guys.
In Bongholio's defense, and I hate to be joining in the cheerleading squad here about him, that he very well may be telling the truth about what he knows simply because the dude can't fucking read. There's a very strong possibility that Dan Bongholio went through all these documents and came away with the exact opposite of what they actually say. We have seen this time and time again where Bongino on his fucking show would play a clip and go, as they said in that, and misquote it entirely after we all just saw it. And they, in theory, replayed it for him as he spoke about it. It could very well be that Bongino is telling the truth only because he's that fucking dumb that he just doesn't, he can't comprehend the words in the documents in front of him. I'm dead serious. I feel like that's why they think he's innocent and trustworthy, because he's just that dopey.
I actually appreciate that he has said so openly, listen, this is not about trust. You don't believe something just because you trust me. You wait for the evidence. And I think that
or lack thereof.
We should be focusing a lot on that comment. I think that that's not only an incredibly humble comment and probably a very difficult comment for someone.
It's also cowardice. It's also, you know that maggots don't trust anybody because they're paranoid by nature. And so you're dealing with a bunch of lunatics. And secondarily, if you don't have the evidence to do something about it, you don't have to go look because it's supposed to be handed to you. You're not an investigator. So as deputy director of the FBI, you can go, I don't know, there's no file on my desk that says this. What the fuck am I supposed to do?
Someone who's used to being able to set the record straight. I think there's a lot more to that comment that meets the eye. I also don't know Kash Patel personally. I liked his book. I like what he said. We have to remember, though, that his boss is Attorney General Pam Bondi. So there's only so much that you can do. There's only so much that you can do in those positions if your boss is giving you a directive or to contradict your boss publicly. So
now what you're pitching is that not only is Pam Bondi full of shit, she's directing Kash Patel to lie about Epstein's death and hide evidence. Excellent. And Trump has still kept her in her job. Okay,
So maybe that's me extending too much benefit of the doubt there, but I think that's a possible explanation. I do.
That's just fucking insanity. This is terrible no matter which way it goes.
Think that the base, President Trump's voter base, would have accepted more readily just an honest analysis. When Dan Bongino and Kash Patel took over the FBI, I mean, I know a lot of people at the upper echelons of the FBI and the Department of Justice now.
Why?
And I was told on good authority that it's like a thermonuclear bomb was set off in there, that they walk in and they don't even know where the locks are, let alone having the keys to unlock those locks.
They're being undermined.
They are, and there's been evidence destruction. There's been the hiding of evidence. So if these individuals,
well, then why didn't they just say we didn't find enough evidence, or that some of the evidence seems to be missing, or it may have existed but we haven't found it? Why would they say there is no there? That would be the easiest thing. We've yet to find it. We're going to keep looking in case there's anything that we have missed. But as of now, what we have in front of us, it does not point in this direction. You could say that, or I can't talk about some sections of this because it's an ongoing. They didn't do that. In that memo, they were basically like, there's nothing here. Move along. Time to move along.
Pam Bondi is the one that I think is the buck stops with Pam Bondi. She's the one directing this narrative. She could have said, listen, we got in here and the Epstein files are empty. We don't know why. We don't know if it was destroyed or hidden or if the investigation was done negligently. We don't know whether there was a cover up, but we do want to be honest with you and say, no, we can't produce the dirt that you expected because we don't have it. Megyn, that's very different than giving us this definitive statement like none of these.
That's just what I said. And it's interesting. This is why they're not going to let it go. That's why I said this is going to hang on.
Things are true. A client list doesn't exist. He definitively killed himself. What?
And
what?
almost like you guys are idiots
evidence
for thinking otherwise. Like,
yeah, I mean that I will give them. You guys are idiots. The thinking otherwise part is immaterial to this, but I do think that they're basically getting a perverse pleasure out of calling you idiots to your face.
There's a tonality in there that it's like, what kind of an idiot would be pursuing this at this point?
Yeah, and you know who has the worst version of it? Fucking Bungholio. He killed himself. He killed himself. Look, he killed himself. I looked at it. He's the one who's the most condescending.
The other piece that's really been irritating me is how she keeps being like, okay, we found these tens of thousands of pictures of child sexual assault material, and no one is ever going to see that. No one's getting, as if that is what anybody wants to see. Like,
well, apparently someone around her is bugging her to see all of it. Maybe that's the question you should be asking. Who in the cabinet, Stephen Miller, who is it, that's saying, I want to take a look at all the evidence, all those files you found?
She's trying to diminish the demands for more information by pretending what people want is to see the child pornography that Jeffrey Epstein enjoyed looking at. It's such a straw man. No one would ever expect the DOJ or want the DOJ to release that. She's just pretending.
Again, I love them finally coming around to the most obvious, simple points that everybody, that Democrats and people like myself and others have automatically went to. What the fuck? You're just hiding behind this stuff. Release the others. Nobody wants that. It's taken Megyn Kelly 4 fucking days.
Pretending that the demands on her are so unreasonable because that's what these so-called influencers seem to be wanting from her. That's not it at all. She said there was a whole treasure trove of documents before she even knew, apparently, that there were all these pictures of child sexuals. She was saying there's a ton of other stuff that you're going to get before it appears even Pam Bondi understood that.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm starting to think she might be completely full of shit.
Epstein had troves of child pornography on his computer.
Yeah, and by the way, that post that it was a long post. It was as long as an op-ed that I posted. I think it was later that same day. I think I wrote it rage texting it on the airplane on my flight home, posted it when I landed. That day in February after the White House, when I was talking about this is the real story, understand the context of everything that happened. The way that I described what was expected from the SDNY, I phrased very carefully because I used only phrases that had been used to me that day.
Thank you. Yes. Yes. Like power phrases.
Meaning, I don't have the post up in front of me, but if I said photos, it's because Pam Bondi said photos. If I said videos, it's because Pam Bondi said videos. I didn't list everything that everyone wanted to see and just recklessly said, oh, it's in that. I only listed the things that the SDNY was supposed to be in possession of because that's what I was told by Pam Bondi, who hadn't seen it, that's what the SDNY was going to deliver to her.
And then an ad by Megyn Kelly in front of her giant Georgia O'Keeffe background for God knows what. I don't know. Seriously, what is she selling? We don't care. Yeah, it's gold. I knew. I was going to say gold. I was like, it's probably gold. Yeah, it's gold. Now, this is, how am I doing on time? Okay, I'm all right. Because there's so much of this shit. The rest of Maggotdom is not having a good time dealing with this. Let me get rid of that. I've already done it. Okay, so let's check this out. So somebody that used to be all in with Trump, and in recent days, especially largely because she's just become so anti-Semitic in what she's covering, that anything Trump does, that because he supported Israel in her mind, which I don't think he does, I think he wants Gaza turned into a real estate development, and he wants Kushner and the Trump organization to have dibs on that area. He doesn't give a rat's ass about the security of Israel or anything, and thinks that eventually everybody in the Middle East is going to be as transactional as he is. And the bombing of Iran, that there's a bunch of things that she turned on him for. But check this out. I think, let me see if.
But he's doing it. Okay. Jeffrey Epstein is becoming this perfect example about how our reality is just being shaped for us. I feel like we're in a video game. Do you feel like we're in a video game?
No, you have more control in a video game, dipshit.
And we're maybe losing. And now as
No. If I'm in a video game, I'm winning.
We're starting to realize this matrix, it's glitching in front of us. And the people who created.
Well, then you can't lose. That's just, if a video game glitches, you can't be, you're not responsible for whether you win or lose.
That are basic.
How plays Roseanne, please? Okay, I haven't seen a clip from her. Maybe there is one. I'll look it up.
Saying, ha ha, nana boo boo, you can't do anything. They don't care because what are you going to do?
Yeah, that's basically the Trump administration in a nutshell.
And I want to be clear, the headlines today, yesterday, they have been unequivocal to Trump, right? They have said, your base hates this, okay? MAGA is splitting over this Epstein thing, left, right, and center. All.
Well, there's not. Is there a left wing of MAGA?
All the publications, literally. Conservative one.
It probably is her video card, Bob. You're absolutely right.
Liberal ones, ones in the middle. Here are just some of the headlines making that very clear. Here's CNN. Trump is daring MAGA to oppose him right now. That's what it kind of feels like. It's a dare. Like, are you going to oppose me?
By the way, you're right. That is Candace Owens citing CNN as a legitimate news source on a story. So, anyways, back to something legacy media.
I'm Trump. Washington Post, same thing. Immigration, Epstein, Ukraine, Trump's moves roil the MAGA base. This is Al Jazeera. Why is MAGA angry with Trump and Pam Bondi over the Epstein files?
She's going with, well, of course she's going with Al Jazeera. It's run by the Qatari government.
This is the Daily Caller, conservative. Dark forces at play. MAGA revolts over Trump's DOJ's Epstein findings. It's even trending on Truth Social, so we can't miss this, right? Truth Social has their trending topics. That is literally Trump's social media platform. And it's all regarding Epstein. Look at this.
That is beautiful. That's amazing.
Epstein cover-up, Epstein client list, hashtag Epstein. And let's be clear, Trump won this last election decisively because many people on the left came over to the right. Why do they do that?
Because a bunch of people of color don't like other people of color, and they in certain districts, people miss that or assume that wasn't a thing, and that all the conversation about BIPOC actually is sort of insulting to everybody involved in that, and they kind of bristled at it in the same way that a lot of them bristle at Latinx, and there was a different group of immigrants that's come in over the last few years, especially ones that have paid their way into the country that didn't want other people coming in because that's who they escaped from in their own country, and also money.
For two reasons. One, because Make America Healthy Again, the MAHA movement, obviously RFK Jr. was significant with that.
That's right. Big fans of measles.
You know, moms.
It means that she is right about the hippie chicks that RFK Jr. was fucking on the campaign trail that he dragged over, with his anti-fluoride bullshit.
We're upset about this, everything that's happening with the CDC, COVID, but also because of the promise of no more wars.
No forever wars. That was the thing. No more forever wars. Trump didn't run as a peacenik.
Everyone's tired. We have fatigue.
Yeah, but that's not a reason to not go to war. If somebody declares war on you, you got to fight back and save your country. It's got to fucking matter. So you can have all the fatigue in the world, but it's like drowning. Like we all have swimming fatigue, but I bet your ass that if you were drowning, you'd swim as hard as you could, dummy.
Again, I'm going to throw it to Cigar and Tucker that are discussing that. Take a listen.
Cigar? You mean Sagar? I don't know. Maybe they call him Cigar around the office.
The problem is the promise of MAGA is America first, and the contradiction is just too obvious. You can't, if you're Joe Biden and you're, senile and it's being run by a bunch of sinister, shadowy figures in the back.
Who are really dedicated to passing an infrastructure act and raising the child tax credit.
Background, and you do.
And making sure everyone is vaccinated so that the country gets back on its feet faster than any country in the world. And we have the lowest unemployment in 60 years.
Something like this. It's like, of course they're doing it. But if you get up and you say, we're going to restore greatness to this country, we're going to do it by putting our own interests first. That's what every country does. That's kind of natural. It's organic. And then you put the interests of a country of 9 million people above your own in a way that's just insulting.
Yes.
People can't deal with that. Like their brains start to explode. And I think this is blowing up the coalition.
Okay, I guess that's Israel? Is that what he means?
Actually, on our show, our producer went to the Bronx, AOC's district, and interviewed people who were AOC Trump voters. And the number one reason that we got from them was war. It was the promise to bring an end to the war, both in Israel and Gaza and in Ukraine.
Yeah, which is fucking hilarious. Because basically you were just interviewing insane people.
So yesterday, as I said, the base looked at Trump and said, what the hell are you doing? Okay.
Finally.
And then Pam Bondi gets up there. She tries to tell us that they don't know if Jeffrey Epstein was working for another country. They don't know. They don't know if he was working for another country. And yet we...
Oh, by the way, Candace means the Jews. She means Israel. Listen to his last name. Of course he was working for Israel. Epstein, huh? What do you think he was working for Mr. Qatar?
No, all of us know, but he was working for Israel. But Pam Bondi and the state, they don't know.
Do we? Do we, though? Do we? I mean, you jump to it because he's Jewish, but do you know? Because he could have just been blackmailing people for other billionaires, Know
that. But all of us know that. And now the question is, why can't Trump admit that?
That's because the first time he fucked Melania was on Epstein's plane. And that's because Trump was on Epstein's plane somewhere between 7 and 11 times. And Epstein was more than likely on Trump's plane many more times than that.
I want to be...
Possibly. Yeah, thanks, Bob.
Clear. Jeffrey Epstein sexually harmed children. Okay?
Yes, and Donald Trump was friends with him for 2.5 decades. And you motherfuckers shrug it off. You think Hillary Clinton was in the basement of a pizza parlor that doesn't even have a fucking basement, and you're still clinging to that shit, that she somehow is part of some baby brain-eating cabal. And yet Donald Trump, in an interview, praises Epstein, says he likes him young, and then Trump himself brags about barging in on teen contestants in the Miss Teen USA contest and looking at them naked because he's allowed to go there, talks about his own daughters, sexualizes like Tiffany's tits before she's fucking born. And you guys can't put it together.
How can you possibly not?
How can you possibly vote for somebody like that, fuckhead? Seriously. Biden's a goddamn Catholic. Like, he himself is pro-life. He's not for abortion. He thinks women should have the right to do it because it's a moral choice. And those kind of decisions on the morality of that are a decision for the afterlife. Judge not, lest ye be judged. He's a real Christian. But you had to vote for the pussy grabber in chief.
Not find the courage to stand up and say the truth about who he was doing that on behalf of. The same country that factually protects American pedophiles if they move to Israel after they commit their crimes against children.
Oh, I didn't realize Scott Ritter had a summer home there. You've been attacking Ukraine this whole time, just like Scott Ritter. That guy's okay, though, with you? I mean, dude was convicted twice.
We're not stupid. Everyone is waking up to what Israel is. Everyone's waking up to the stranglehold that they have on our politicians, our foreign policy. And now we're going back and we're realizing that it's maybe always been this way.
No, we're not. No. Mm-mm. They don't have a stranglehold on our policy. And by the way, Biden and Harris wouldn't have limited the weapons going to them. Wouldn't have insisted on airdropping aid into Gaza against the wishes of Netanyahu. If they control everybody, why do they give a fuck who gets elected? They could, I mean, honestly, why would they even weigh in on anybody?
That our policy is essentially when Israel gets caught with its pants down, our government will still rush to defend them.
Sorry, is that what you think happened on October 7th? Jesus Christ, this woman.
As was the case with Jonathan Pollard, Trump, we talked about this yesterday, granting this spy clemency. Are you kidding me? Take a listen to Tucker Carlson speaking about that.
I mean, let's take the case of Jonathan Pollard, who's one of the biggest traitors in the history of the United States for passing classified information on to the Israeli government. Prime Minister Netanyahu used to visit our soil and actively campaign and urge our presidents of the United States to pardon Jonathan Pollard.
And all of them couldn't wait to do it because basically Israel controls the U.S. government. Oh, wait, no, they didn't do it. Trump did.
For betraying our country to his country.
Do you have any idea what they did with that classified information, those secrets?
Well, I actually have no idea.
They gave them to the Soviet Union.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And this was in the 80s during the Cold War.
It was 1985.
It was 85. Yeah, I remember it well. I lived in Washington. The full focus of the U.S. government was in opposition to the Soviets. And the Israelis gave a lot of that classified information from the U.S. Navy to the Soviet government in exchange for allowing refuseniks, Jewish Soviet citizens, to move to Israel, which I'm totally for. I mean, I'm glad that they got out. I'm glad that they got out of the Soviet Union and made it to Israel. That's great. But they took our secrets and gave them to our main enemy, our really only global enemy. What?
Yeah.
And obviously Bill Clinton wanted to. I'm sorry, not Bill Clinton. George W. Bush wanted to. I'm sorry, not Barack Obama. That's what it was. Barack Obama wanted to grant this guy clemency, but no, not Joe Biden. Joe Biden wanted to grant clemency. Oh, sorry. Trump did it. The rest of them didn't.
So here's the picture that's emerging, ladies and gentlemen. The American policy is that Israel can do whatever the hell it wants.
If Trump is in charge.
They can assassinate sitting presidents. They can steal our secrets and hand it to the enemy. They can.
That guy stole them and handed it. He traveled through Israel was the idea.
Steal our technology. They can blackmail our politicians.
With what? Obviously, if they haven't done anything.
And businessmen.
Mm-hmm. apparently they have a real hard time blackmailing some of our politicians.
They can protect those who rape our children. They can murder Palestinian children. They can steal land. They can blackmail sitting presidents. Like they did with Clinton.
That's right. And then they can go and visit Trump at Mar-a-Lago, and the people who were holding the Genocide Joe signs outside of the DNC don't bother them at all. All right. Anyways, she's a one, like this is a one-note piano. Everything leads back to Israel. Am I all right? Okay, I'm all right on time. Pat Gray tries to use sarcasm, which of course is what idiots have instead of a sense of humor, to get out of the Epstein debacle with his regular cast of characters, all of whom look like they share rocking chairs outside of a Greyhound bus station. This is, why are people still talking about Epstein?
Also, there's the Epstein file thing, and he was sadly asked about that because what are you talking about?
Are you still talking about the Epstein file?
Yes,
Don.
Check this out.
Shocking.
Sure.
Your memo and release yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former labor secretary who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency.
I never heard
so
that.
could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of his death?
Yeah, sure.
Could I just interrupt? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy?
Yes. Listen to these guys respond.
The things. And are people still talking about this guy?
Yes.
That is unbelievable.
Is it?
Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't
right.
believe you're
Please
asking
do.
a question.
I want to hear the answer.
At a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration. But you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I
We saw the rest of her thing.
That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of videos.
And they just yammer over top of her talking.
They turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively.
This is, by the way, my favorite quote of the whole thing, from the word definitively.
We released the video showing definitively. The video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old from like 1999. So every night the video is reset. And every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
Mr. President, on the tariffs first. You said it is the deadline.
I can't believe we're still talking about this.
I can't either.
I can't believe we're still talking a lot of about the 2020 election. He doesn't have any problem still talking about that.
No, he does
All the
not.
swing states that he won.
Good God.
Yeah, but do you hear that? Sorry, this.
He doesn't have any problem still talking about that.
No, he
All
does
the
not.
swing
Not
states
2020.
that he won.
Good gosh. I don't know.
Pat, we have
this is
pictures of the
frustrating.
locations of the camera. So go ahead and put the first picture. So as you can see,
we saw kind of Glenn Beck wrestling with this the last couple of days. It's trickling down to Pat and these assholes. And again, those two doors, neither of them are Epstein's cell. That's supposed to give the illusion. His is around the corner. You can barely see the stairs that go up to his area. There's plenty of area where you could walk underneath that railing to hide yourself if you wanted to go to it. Somebody drew a map of the downstairs where you could walk all the way to his room and back without being seen on the right-hand side of the screen.
the cell is the one highlighted
So
in
awesome.
red. The yellow part is the camera view.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Hold on.
From the second floor.
So the camera is pointed up.
The hell? Oh, wait, 1 second. I don't think these should. Beg your pardon. Okay. Yeah, why am I not hearing it? That's weird. Whoops. Get back here.
Up from our perspective of the little map.
Yeah, why am I not hearing it? Get back here.
So this doesn't mean a thing.
It's where you could walk in and come back out. Like you could go from Epstein's, like this is Epstein's cell right here. And you could go down the inside of these stairs. This is the outside of it, which is visible from that camera over here. You can see just this edge right here. You could walk in from here, through this way, up here, and back out the other way, and never be seen by the camera at any point during the time he was there.
Let me show you the other one.
But what they're saying is that no one passed.
So
right?
here's a possibility where you can avoid all the cameras from the second floor.
Oh, wow, really?
If you just go down that route on the right side.
Right, and then you sneak around to the...
And no one knows
that. No one knows that.
In my opinion, in my limited knowledge as a Territorian, can we release the camera that is literally on the common
those
area?
weren't working.
On the first... Oh.
Yeah, they broke.
Those, I think, are the ones that...
Yeah, those weren't working.
Darn.
Oh, they were all working. They just didn't record.
Darn. What about the other camera that is inside the prison cell?
That's broken.
Oh, that's broken too?
Broken. Yeah.
Are you still talking about
It's
Epstein?
been broken for a while. We've been trying to get to it.
Yeah.
Did you submit a ticket? Because I knew you have to submit tickets to
Nah,
IT.
we forgot to send the ticket. The guys who were going to send the ticket, they were sleeping and doing some shopping.
The shopping.
And the other guy was
Amazon?
shopping. Yeah, the other guy was
online
buying
shopping.
stuff online.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's probably Prime Days, if I recall.
No.
See, this is why this is not going away. This is why these guys are going to drag this shit forever, because it makes them look like an asshole to pretend they believe it, and their own ego is on the line. And the one thing about, like, Trump's, whether is the maggot supporters is one thing, but the people that are, in the media world that supports Donald Trump, their egos are very similar to his. It's why they like him, is because they have big egos and they believe their audience is just as important to them as, or thinks as highly of them as Trump's audience thinks of him. And they have to believe that. So they can't just play dumb about this. It's too embarrassing and too serious.
What about his cellmate? Certainly saw. Oh wait,
yes.
No cellmate for some reason.
Plus, I saw a picture yesterday, and I have not seen. Maybe it was wrong because it was on the internet, and I thought everything on the internet was real. But I saw a picture of the door that they said was Epstein's cell. It doesn't look like any of the doors.
All right, this is the same mistake we saw fucking Glenn being fucking thick about. Anybody who sees this, even glances at it, can tell that the picture of the door that was Epstein's that had the tape on it is from around the corner. And from the map, you can see that it's not where the camera is, and it's not. This is stupid.
In those pictures.
No, the door, his cell door is not visible from.
Just so stupid. Okay, one more thing. Let's see. Well, that was Megyn Kelly. Yeah, this is Glenn Greenwald. See if Glenn Greenwald actually jumps in on this as well. Play, stupid. Why is this not playing? Hold on.
And yet, earlier today, Trump was at the White House, and a reporter asked him what I regard as the key question. There are a lot of key questions, but I regard this as one of the most pressing that has never really been addressed, including even yesterday with the Justice Department's announcement, which is, did Jeffrey Epstein work with or for any foreign or domestic intelligence agencies? Did he have ties to a foreign government?
And the answer is, none of your fucking business. Move on. Why are you even asking about that?
Did he have ties to a foreign intelligence agency? Many of Jeffrey Epstein's closest and most important associates, the ones who made him very rich, are heavily involved in pro-Israel activism, but could be other countries paying him. Who knows? We just never got an answer to that question. The Justice Department denied all these.
And you're not going to.
Other things, but didn't address this. So a journalist, not sure who it was, I'm going to find out, but to his credit, asked what I think is exactly
from the New York Post,
the right question. And he didn't ask it to Pam. Well, he did actually ask it to Pam Bondi, but Trump intervened and said, I'd like to answer. And here's what Trump had to say.
Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering
We saw
mysteries.
this. We've seen this before. Like, you still asking, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein.
Also, they released this ginormous statement on Sunday. Like, this dodge, the fact that he didn't know or wasn't involved in it seems really hinky on top of it. But literally Sunday they put this out. This was like the next day. I want to say it was early Tuesday that he got asked about this in this cabinet meeting. This when she got asked. So they had just put out this like definitive fuck you, goodbye statement on Sunday.
At a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas, it just seems like a desecration. But you go ahead.
Desecration.
I mean, how anyone who is a Trump supporter can listen to that and not feel completely condescended to and devalued and ignored is something I'll never understand.
Yeah, and I wish I gave a shit about you dumbasses, because I don't know how you ever convinced yourself that this wasn't exactly where this was all going. Right? I like, again, I feel like what you should be feeling is the shame of thinking that this dude was anything but a one of Epstein's enablers, and that you were ever going to get anything else. And at some point, you just got to stop blaming him and start kicking yourself, dum-dum. I mean, I'm enjoying this, don't get me wrong. Okay, one more thing, and then I really got to go. Yeah, here it is. Steve Bannon. So Elon Musk comes out, says Steve Bannon is in the Epstein files. And Steve Bannon's response, no more secrecy. Steve Bannon demands full release of the Epstein files. Here you go. And this is probably going to have an ad. I'm sorry.
Trick recipe yet?
I do not know that trick.
And
I will never learn it, and I don't want to learn it. And there's going to be another ad for this thing of a guy running. There you go. Here we go.
So we're going to get back to the DOJ in a moment.
Oh, yeah.
They've got to, first off, I think it's no doubt they have to go and demand. They have to go to the court and demand and unseal the sealed evidence in Epstein. That's
what's sealed evidence? According to them, there is no other stuff.
It starts there.
It's not sealed. Nothing was kept from them, according to her.
And bundle everything together you got, sealed and unsealed, and release it all. Or, which I've called for yesterday, appoint a special he should appoint a special prosecutor.
He can't. His own Supreme Court refused to hold up the special prosecutor's role in the classified documents case against him in Florida. He's not going to he's not going to appoint a special prosecutor to deal with Epstein. Are you nuts?
Special counsel now for the 2020 election and everything after that, and include Russiagate and all this. You have to do that. That
won't happen.
Should be done immediately.
Yeah, because that's what you want. You want to release all the grand jury testimony around Russia.
And that should report to the President of the United States. And also, they should do one if DOJ can't move off the dime, and the FBI can't move off the dime, there should be a special counsel to go through everything and release it all. It seems to me like a binary function, right?
Yeah, it would seem like that, unless you're in them, in which case you'd probably be against it, which is exactly why you brought this shit up.
So DOJ, to me, should step up to the plate and just go to the court. Step one, go to the court.
That's right.
Petition the court
Pam Bondi.
to unseal all the evidence.
Absolutely.
And then let people make their mind up. Let people weigh and measure what's there. Make their mind up. Only way you can do it is release it all. It's not going to go away. I don't think this thing's going to go away. And I've told folks, this is not going to go away. You've got to release everything.
I don't know. I think this is going to be perfect. He looks happy. This is going to be one of the perfect things that have leading into the midterms. Yeah, release it early next year, right before the midterms. That'd be good.
I don't think there's any.
Wait. Just wait. Keep waiting. Wind them up. Keep telling them you're going to release it. That'll be fun.
Middle ground. And they talk about the downloaded child porn would then set up a 5-man committee headed by Tom Fenton, pick somebody that people think or understand is totally even-handed, and let them review it and redact what you got to redact, and release the rest. Release it all and redact it where it's, the victims are in parallel, are in peril. The only way you're going to do it. This is the thing with the Kennedy. After all those years with the Kennedy, because it's kind of the same. All those years with the Kennedy.
Oh, the Kennedy assassination. I was like, RFK Jr.? I mean, he hung out with him, right?
And this is directly tied, as you know, to the intelligence services. It'll get back to that.
Okay, so is that why we haven't seen Tulsi in a while?
Into the deep state. And that's what, we've had 2 coups. We had a coup against Kennedy, where they killed him, and now they admit that Oswald was on their payroll.
No, they don't.
Don't lose sight of the importance of what the CIA put out. Kind of as a misdirection play the other day, because given the CIA.
What was the misdirection? That they said that he was on their payroll? That was the misdirection?
Let's face it, they're working with the Mossad, and we don't really understand the intelligence, the urgency of the intelligence.
Dear God, can you imagine how sweaty Candace Owens must be in this costume?
That caused us to get involved in a kinetic.
This is like if Candace Owens put on the Tony Clifton costume.
Way in this this Iranian situation. We just don't.
Oh, he says Persian a lot because Islamic State of Iran and whatever.
And Ratcliffe gave you a misdirection play, but hey.
Ratcliffe gave you a misdirection play? Ratcliffe is Trump's pick.
We'll take it as long as you don't take your eye off the prize. The release of that on CIA puts the whole thing to a lie. This is why they lied about it for decade after decade after decade. Was it 6 or
so? They're still lying about it.
7 decades. Lied about it. He was on the payroll of a group that there was a front group for them, and they knew it. And they knew they had him on the payroll. That's why they didn't want to answer any questions about it. They buried that, hid it worse than the FBI hid their stuff. Which remember, and the FBI. You think the FBI was bad on 9/11 of hiding information?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they were kind of half and half
of what happened and what their responsibility and culpability is.
By the way, notice the distraction in this to keep talking about other stuff, RFK, JFK, that kind of shit.
Look in the Kennedy. They tore up the notes that they had, the note that Oswald gave them like a week, 2 weeks before the assassination.
He wasn't on the fucking... They gave him a heads up. He was part of an organization that like a bunch of these different groups, and they had moles in some of them. That's how it worked, dumbass.
When he came to the FBI field office. The FBI and the CIA are not working in the interest of American people. Have not. They've worked in the interest of the American empire. They have.
Of which you are a willing foot soldier of at this point?
Post-World War II, you've had coup after coup. The Nixon coup was part of this judicial apparatus coming in.
The Nixon coup, and imagine he could have dodged that simply by not committing a fucking crime, by not having guys break into the goddamn DNC. And then this finally, we saw this. I think this is a clip of the other parts. Do we get everybody? I think so. Yep. Man, we managed to cover it. Holy shit. Oh, except Ben Shapiro, which is his whole sales pitch. Why aren't you playing? Play it, quit it.
We all agree that Jeffrey Epstein was a total, complete piece of human debris, a predatory, evil criminal who inflicted unspeakable harm on vulnerable underage girls and deserved far worse than he actually got. Again,
but
that also does not mean that the Trump administration is now lying. It doesn't mean all our questions are answered or that evidence has been provided to answer all of it. I want to...
Jesus Christ. The special effects. Like, play some scary music and do a wag cut, a tail wag cut, so that I could, seem like the part where they would normally click away because they don't want to hear the bad news about Trump was Jeffrey Epstein's best friend. Do something there that'll keep their attention.
I want to actually spend some time going back through the case and examining the legitimate questions. And again, there were and are legitimate questions. And then we can discuss the rational possibilities, knowing what we know. So let's begin with a basic timeline of this case. So in March 2005, in Palm Beach, there was an investigation opened into Jeffrey Epstein. The family.
Oh, so you're just going to skip past Trump's relationship with him since the mid 80s. We're just going to jump well past that. All right, I see. Okay, I got to get going, kids, because, hold on, chat room. I've got to be on Jones' show in just a few minutes. And they're going to call, let's see. Actually be available 4:30 instead of 4:45. Actually, 4:45 would be good after. Oh, please see. Okay, good. Yeah, they're going to call me in 5 minutes. I got to pop off. I will see you guys tomorrow for the regular morning show. And the afternoon show will be at an odd time because I'm traveling tomorrow. And that'll be that. Okay. All right. I'll see you guys later. Thank you guys for the support. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for the super chats. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning.
Family of an underage girl